Do you ever feel like you're stuck behind a mask, pretending to be someone you're not just to fit in? Do social situations make you anxious, leaving you wondering why you can't just be yourself? If you've ever struggled with these feelings, you're not alone. Imagine a life where you can confidently walk into any room, speak your mind, and truly be your authentic self. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, it's more achievable than you think. In today's video, we're diving into How to Be Yourself by Ellen Hendriksen, a book that could very well change the way you live your life. How to Be Yourself is a transformative guide for anyone struggling with social anxiety or simply wanting to embrace their true self. Ellen Hendriksen, the author, is a clinical psychologist and researcher who specializes in social anxiety. With years of experience helping people overcome their fears and anxieties, she brings a wealth of knowledge and practical advice to the table. Hendriksen's approach is compassionate, evidence-based, and incredibly relatable, making this book a must-read for anyone looking to shed the weight of self-doubt and step into their authentic self. The book isn't just about coping with social anxiety, it's about reclaiming your life and living it on your own terms. The book has 16 sections. The summary of each will be narrated step by step. Section 1. The root of it all: how social anxiety takes hold. Social anxiety stems from a deep-seated fear of judgment and rejection, which often begins in childhood or adolescence. Many people experience intense self-consciousness and apprehension in social situations, driven by an overwhelming concern about being evaluated negatively by others. This fear can manifest in various ways, from physical symptoms like sweating and trembling to cognitive patterns of overthinking and self-criticism. The issue lies in the internalization of external standards, where individuals believe that their worth is constantly being assessed by those around them. This can lead to avoidance of social interactions, reinforcing anxiety and perpetuating a cycle of fear and withdrawal. Understanding the root of social anxiety involves exploring the combination of genetic predispositions, early life experiences, and the impact of societal pressures. The section delves into how certain environments and upbringing can exacerbate feelings of inadequacy, leading to a heightened sensitivity to social scrutiny. It highlights the role of conditioning, where past negative experiences in social contexts contribute to the development of anxiety. The text emphasizes the importance of recognizing these underlying factors and how they shape one's perceptions and reactions in social settings. It also touches on the role of evolutionary psychology, explaining how social anxiety may have developed as a survival mechanism, making individuals more attuned to social cues and group dynamics. Section 2. Social anxiety is like an apple tree. Social anxiety is not merely a modern affliction, but a deeply ingrained part of human evolution, akin to the roots of an apple tree that have grown and persisted over millennia. The underlying issue is that this form of anxiety, while often debilitating in contemporary society, once served a crucial function in our ancestors' survival. The intense self-awareness and sensitivity to social feedback were necessary for maintaining group cohesion, avoiding conflict, and ensuring one's place within a community. However, in today's world, where the threats of rejection are less about survival and more about self-esteem, these ancient instincts have become maladaptive, leading to unnecessary distress. The section draws a parallel between social anxiety and an apple tree, illustrating how both have deep roots that allow them to endure through generations. It explains that just as a tree grows and produces fruit, social anxiety can also grow and manifest in various ways, deeply influencing behavior and thought patterns. The evolutionary perspective is discussed, suggesting that traits which once protected individuals from social ostracism are now overactive, causing disproportionate anxiety in situations that do not threaten survival. This analogy helps readers understand why social anxiety has persisted despite its often negative impact in modern contexts, framing it as a natural, albeit outdated response. Section 3. Your Brain on Social Anxiety. Social anxiety is not just a psychological experience, but a neurological one, deeply rooted in the brain's wiring and chemistry. The issue lies in how the brain processes social stimuli, often perceiving neutral or even positive social interactions as threatening. This misinterpretation triggers the body's fight or flight response, leading to symptoms like a racing heart, shallow breathing, and a flood of adrenaline. The brain's amygdala, the region responsible for detecting threats, becomes hyperactive in individuals with social anxiety, sending signals that something is wrong, even when there is no real danger. This biological response reinforces the anxiety, making it difficult for individuals to relax or feel comfortable in social settings. The text delves into the science behind social anxiety, explaining how the brain's fear circuitry becomes overactive and how neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine play a role in regulating mood and anxiety levels. It discusses the concept of neuroplasticity, highlighting that the brain can change and adapt over time, offering hope for those struggling with social anxiety. Techniques such as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, are mentioned, which aim to rewire the brain's response to social stimuli by challenging negative thoughts and gradually exposing individuals to feared situations. The section emphasizes that while social anxiety has a strong neurological component, it is not immutable, and with the right strategies, the brain can be trained to respond differently. Section 4. How our inner critic undermines us. The pervasive issue of social anxiety is often fueled by an internal voice that constantly criticizes and undermines self-worth, making individuals doubt their abilities and fear judgment. This inner critic is relentless, magnifying flaws and mistakes, and creating a distorted self-image that is harsh and unforgiving. The presence of this inner critic can cause people to second-guess themselves in social situations, leading to avoidance, isolation, and a lack of confidence. The problem is not just the anxiety itself, but the ongoing internal dialogue that reinforces negative beliefs and keeps individuals trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and fear. The section explores the origins and nature of the inner critic, explaining how it develops from early life experiences, societal expectations, and personal insecurities. It discusses the psychological mechanisms behind this self-critical voice, such as cognitive distortions like catastrophizing and all-or-nothing thinking. Techniques for managing and quieting the inner critic are presented, including mindfulness practices, self-compassion exercises, and cognitive restructuring. These approaches aim to shift the focus from self-criticism to self-acceptance, helping individuals build a more balanced and realistic view of themselves. By learning to recognize and challenge the inner critic, individuals can begin to dismantle the negative thought patterns that contribute to their social anxiety. Section 5. Think different. One of the core challenges of social anxiety is the tendency to think in rigid, negative patterns that reinforce feelings of fear and inadequacy. These automatic thoughts often center around worst-case scenarios, self-criticism, and exaggerated perceptions of how others view them. The issue is that these thought patterns are deeply ingrained, making it difficult for individuals to break free from the cycle of anxiety and self-doubt. The constant bombardment of negative thoughts can lead to a sense of helplessness, as individuals feel trapped by their own minds, unable to see situations objectively or respond calmly to social interactions. The section introduces the concept of cognitive restructuring, a technique that involves identifying and replacing negative thoughts with more balanced and realistic ones. This process requires individuals to become aware of their automatic thoughts, question their validity, and actively choose alternative ways of thinking. The text provides step-by-step guidance on how to challenge cognitive distortions, such as overgeneralization, mind reading, and catastrophizing. By learning to replace these distorted thoughts with more accurate and constructive ones, individuals can begin to change the way they perceive and respond to social situations. This shift in thinking can lead to a significant reduction in anxiety and an increase in confidence. Section 6. Think different. Embrace social anxiety often leads individuals to reject or avoid certain aspects of their personalities or lives that they fear will be judged negatively by others. The issue is that this avoidance not only limits their ability to fully engage in social situations, but also prevents them from accepting and embracing their true selves. When people constantly try to hide or downplay parts of who they are, they create a disconnect between their authentic selves and the persona they present to the world. This dissonance can exacerbate feelings of anxiety, as they are constantly worried about being exposed or not living up to the expectations they believe others have of them. The section advocates for a different approach, embracing the very aspects of oneself that might be the source of anxiety. It encourages individuals to acknowledge and accept their quirks, vulnerabilities, and perceived imperfections as integral parts of their identity. By embracing these aspects, rather than hiding them, individuals can reduce the power they have over their self-esteem and anxiety levels. The text suggests practices such as self-compassion, positive affirmations, and reframing thoughts to foster a more accepting and compassionate relationship with oneself. This shift from avoidance to acceptance can lead to greater self-confidence and authenticity in social interactions, as individuals no longer feel the need to hide or apologize for who they are. An example mentioned involves a person who feels embarrassed about their nervous laughter, worrying that it makes them seem awkward or insincere. Instead of trying to suppress this trait, they decide to embrace it, recognizing that it is a natural part of how they express themselves when they are anxious. By accepting this aspect of their behavior and even humorously acknowledging it in social situations, they find that their anxiety lessens and they can engage more freely with others. This acceptance not only reduces the stress of trying to conceal their nervousness, but also helps them connect more genuinely with those around them. Section 7. Get started, and your confidence will catch up. A significant barrier for those with social anxiety is the belief that they need to feel completely confident before they can successfully engage in social interactions. This belief often leads to avoidance, as individuals wait for a level of confidence that may never come. The issue here is that confidence is not a prerequisite for action. Rather, it is often a byproduct of taking action. Waiting for confidence can keep individuals stuck in a cycle of inaction and anxiety, preventing them from building the very experiences that could help them feel more assured in social situations. The text encourages readers to take the first step in engaging with the world, even if they feel anxious or unsure. It explains that confidence grows through experience and that by gradually exposing themselves to social situations, individuals can build a sense of competence and self-assurance over time. The idea is to start small, with manageable challenges, and gradually increase the level of difficulty as confidence builds. The section discusses the concept of behavioral activation, where action precedes emotion, meaning that by doing the things that scare them, individuals can eventually reduce their fear and increase their confidence. An illustrative example is of someone who avoids attending social events because they feel too anxious and believe they need to feel more confident before they can participate. However, by deciding to attend a small, low-pressure gathering, they take the first step towards building confidence. Although they may feel nervous at first, the experience is not as daunting as they anticipated. Over time, as they continue to attend more events, their confidence grows, and they find it easier to engage with others without the overwhelming fear they once had. Section 8. No false fronts in this town. One of the challenges faced by individuals with social anxiety is the feeling that they need to put on a facade or adopt a persona to fit in or be accepted by others. This belief can create a sense of inauthenticity and lead to increased anxiety, as they constantly worry about maintaining the act or being exposed as fake. The issue is that this approach often backfires, making it harder for individuals to connect with others genuinely and reinforcing their anxiety about being judged or rejected. The pressure to maintain a false front can be exhausting and prevent individuals from fully expressing their true selves. The text suggests an alternative approach. Rather than pretending to be someone else, individuals can use role-playing as a tool to explore different aspects of their personality and build their true self. This involves temporarily adopting certain behaviors or attitudes in social situations, not to deceive others, but to experiment with different ways of being and interacting. The goal is to discover and develop aspects of the self that may have been suppressed due to anxiety or fear of judgment. By playing different roles, individuals can gain insights into their strengths, preferences, and authentic desires, ultimately leading to greater self-awareness and confidence. Section 9, Mountains to Molehills. It gets easier every time. A common experience for those with social anxiety is the tendency to perceive social situations as insurmountable challenges, creating a sense of dread and avoidance. The issue is that these perceived mountains often turn out to be much smaller and more manageable than expected, but the anticipation and fear can make them seem overwhelming. This distorted perception can prevent individuals from engaging in social activities, as they build up these situations in their minds to be more intimidating than they actually are. The ongoing avoidance reinforces the anxiety, making it difficult to break the cycle and see social interactions in a more realistic light. The section emphasizes the importance of gradually facing these feared situations and realizing that, with each exposure, the anxiety lessens and the challenges become more manageable. It introduces the concept of exposure therapy, where individuals are encouraged to confront their fears in a controlled and systematic way, starting with less intimidating scenarios and gradually working up to more challenging ones. The text explains that with repeated exposure, the brain learns that these situations are not as threatening as they seem, and the anxiety response diminishes over time. The idea is to transform these mountains into molehills by consistently challenging the fears and reducing their power. Section 10. Putting it all together. Your challenge list. For individuals with social anxiety, the journey toward overcoming their fears can feel overwhelming, especially when faced with the prospect of tackling multiple aspects of anxiety at once. The issue is that without a clear plan or structure, it can be difficult to know where to start or how to make consistent progress. The fear of failure or the magnitude of the task can lead to procrastination or avoidance, making it harder to achieve meaningful change. This lack of direction can leave individuals feeling stuck and discouraged, unsure of how to break free from the cycle of anxiety and inaction. The section provides a practical solution in the form of a challenge list, a tool designed to help individuals systematically confront their social anxiety by setting specific, achievable goals. The text outlines how to create a personalized challenge list, starting with smaller, less intimidating tasks and gradually working up to more difficult ones. Each challenge is designed to push individuals slightly out of their comfort zone, allowing them to build confidence and resilience with each success. The section emphasizes the importance of tracking progress, celebrating small victories, and being patient with oneself throughout the process. By following the challenge list, individuals can take control of their anxiety and make steady, measurable progress toward overcoming their fears. An example discussed is of someone who is afraid of speaking up in group settings. Their challenge list starts with tasks like contributing one comment in a small meeting or asking a question in a class. As they complete each challenge, they gradually increase the difficulty, eventually working up to giving a presentation or leading a discussion. By following the challenge list, they are able to build their confidence step by step, turning what once felt like an impossible task into something manageable and even rewarding. This structured approach helps them stay focused and motivated, leading to significant improvements in their ability to navigate social situations. Section 11. How and why to turn your attention inside out. A central issue in social anxiety is the intense focus on oneself, where individuals become hyper-aware of their own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors during social interactions. This inward focus often leads to a heightened sense of self-consciousness, where individuals feel like they are under constant scrutiny and judgment by others. The problem is that this self-focused attention amplifies anxiety and creates a feedback loop where the more one pays attention to their anxiety, the more anxious they become. This inward focus also prevents individuals from fully engaging with others, making it difficult to form genuine connections or enjoy social interactions. The text introduces the concept of turning attention inside out by shifting focus away from oneself and onto the external environment and the people around them. It explains that by directing attention outward, individuals can reduce their self-consciousness and become more present in the moment, which in turn diminishes anxiety. Techniques such as mindfulness and active listening are suggested, where the goal is to fully immerse oneself in the conversation or activity at hand, rather than being preoccupied with internal thoughts and worries. This outward focus helps individuals break the cycle of self-consciousness and allows them to engage more naturally and confidently in social situations. An example shared is of someone who feels extremely anxious during conversations because they are constantly monitoring their own body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice. This inward focus causes them to miss out on the flow of the conversation, leading to awkward pauses and a sense of disconnection. By practicing the technique of turning their attention outward, they begin to focus more on what the other person is saying, their emotions, and the context of the conversation. This shift in focus helps them relax and engage more effectively, reducing their anxiety and allowing them to connect more genuinely with others. Section 12. Seeing is believing. How you feel isn't how you look. For individuals with social anxiety, there is often a significant disconnect between how they feel internally and how they appear externally to others. The issue is that while they may feel nervous, awkward, or out of place, these feelings are not always visible to others. However, because they are so focused on their internal experience, they assume that everyone else can see their anxiety and is judging them for it. This belief can exacerbate their anxiety, leading to a heightened sense of self-consciousness and a tendency to avoid social situations. The problem is that this distorted perception reinforces the anxiety, making it difficult to see social interactions objectively. The section discusses the importance of recognizing the gap between internal feelings and external appearance, emphasizing that others are often unaware of the anxiety one feels. It encourages individuals to challenge the assumption that their anxiety is obvious to others and to focus instead on how they are actually perceived. The text provides techniques for gaining a more accurate perspective, such as seeking feedback from trusted friends or practicing self-compassion to reduce the impact of negative self-perceptions. By understanding that their anxiety is not as visible as they think, individuals can begin to feel more confident and less worried about how they are perceived by others. An example mentioned is of someone who feels extremely anxious during a job interview, convinced that their nervousness is obvious to the interviewer. However, when they receive feedback after the interview, they are surprised to learn that they came across as calm and competent. This experience helps them realize that their internal experience of anxiety was not as apparent to others as they believed. By recognizing this gap between feeling and appearance, they are able to approach future interviews with more confidence, knowing that their anxiety is not as visible as they once thought. This new understanding helps them reduce their self-consciousness and focus more on their strengths and qualifications. Section 13. I have to sound smart, funny, interesting. How perfectionism holds us back. Perfectionism is a common issue among those with social anxiety, where individuals feel an intense pressure to present themselves flawlessly in social situations. The belief that they must always sound smart, funny, or interesting can create unrealistic expectations and lead to significant anxiety. The problem is that this pressure to be perfect not only makes social interactions more stressful, but also prevents individuals from being authentic and spontaneous. The constant fear of making mistakes or not meeting others' expectations can lead to avoidance, self-censorship, and a lack of genuine connection with others. This perfectionism keeps individuals trapped in a cycle of anxiety and dissatisfaction, as they feel that they can never truly live up to their own high standards. The section explores the roots of perfectionism and how it manifests in social situations, discussing how societal and personal expectations contribute to this mindset. It offers strategies for overcoming perfectionism, such as setting more realistic expectations, practicing self-compassion, and focusing on the value of connection rather than performance. The text emphasizes that being genuine and imperfect is more relatable and attractive than striving for an unattainable ideal. By letting go of the need to be perfect, individuals can reduce their anxiety and engage more fully and authentically in social interactions. An example shared is of someone who feels that they must always be the life of the party, constantly making witty remarks and keeping everyone entertained. This pressure to be funny and interesting causes them significant anxiety, and they often leave social gatherings feeling exhausted and dissatisfied, believing that they didn't live up to their own expectations. Over time, they learn to challenge this perfectionistic mindset, recognizing that it's okay to have quieter moments and that they don't always need to be on. By allowing themselves to be more authentic and less focused on impressing others, they find that they enjoy social interactions more and feel less anxious about how they are perceived. Section 14. Why you don't have a social skills problem. You heard that right. A common misconception among those with social anxiety is that their struggles stem from a lack of social skills. They may believe that they are awkward or inept in social situations and that this is the root cause of their anxiety. However, the issue is not usually a deficit in social skills, but rather the anxiety itself, which interferes with their ability to use the skills they already possess. The problem is that this belief in their own inadequacy can lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the fear of social failure causes them to withdraw or behave awkwardly, reinforcing the idea that they are socially incompetent. The section challenges the notion that social anxiety is a result of poor social skills, explaining that most individuals with social anxiety are perfectly capable of interacting effectively with others. The text discusses how anxiety can distort one's perception of their own abilities, making them underestimate their social competence. It also explores how the focus on perceived social inadequacies can exacerbate anxiety and lead to avoidance behaviors. The section encourages individuals to recognize their existing social skills and to practice using them in a relaxed and confident manner. By shifting the focus away from perceived deficits and toward the strengths they already have, individuals can reduce their anxiety and improve their social interactions. Section 15. The myth of hope in a bottle. Many individuals with social anxiety turn to substances, such as alcohol or medication, as a way to cope with their fears and feel more confident in social situations. The issue is that while these substances may provide temporary relief, they do not address the underlying causes of social anxiety and can lead to dependency or other negative consequences. Relying on a quick fix can prevent individuals from developing the coping skills and resilience needed to manage their anxiety in a healthy and sustainable way. The problem is that this reliance on external substances can become a crutch, making it difficult to face social situations without them and potentially leading to a cycle of avoidance and increased anxiety. The section discusses the risks and limitations of using substances as a way to manage social anxiety, emphasizing that true confidence and social ease come from within, not from a bottle. It explores healthier alternatives for managing anxiety, such as therapy, mindfulness practices, and gradual exposure to feared situations. The text encourages individuals to build their inner resources and to develop a sense of self-efficacy, where they trust in their own ability to handle social situations without the need for external aids. By focusing on long-term solutions rather than temporary fixes, individuals can achieve lasting improvements in their social confidence and overall well-being. An example described is of someone who always has a drink before attending social events because they believe it helps them relax and be more sociable. Over time, they come to rely on alcohol as a way to manage their anxiety, but they also notice that they feel even more anxious when they don't have a drink. This realization prompts them to seek healthier ways to cope with their anxiety, such as practicing deep breathing exercises and gradually exposing themselves to social situations without the crutch of alcohol. As they build their confidence through these techniques, they find that they no longer need a drink to feel comfortable in social settings, leading to a healthier and more sustainable approach to managing their anxiety. Section 16. The building blocks of beautiful friendships. They're not what you think. For those with social anxiety, the prospect of building and maintaining friendships can feel daunting, often because they believe that friendships require a certain level of charm, humor, or social prowess that they feel they lack. The issue is that this belief can prevent them from reaching out and forming connections, as they fear they won't be able to meet the perceived expectations of what makes a good friend. This can lead to isolation and loneliness, further reinforcing the idea that they are not capable of forming meaningful relationships. The problem lies in the misunderstanding of what truly makes a friendship strong and lasting. It's not about being the most entertaining or impressive person in the room, but about being authentic, kind, and supportive. The section redefines the concept of friendship, emphasizing that the true building blocks of a strong friendship are trust, mutual respect, and shared values, rather than superficial qualities like wit or popularity. It discusses the importance of being present, listening, and showing genuine interest in others, as these are the qualities that create deep and lasting connections. The text also encourages individuals to be patient with themselves and others, recognizing that friendships take time to develop and that it's okay to be imperfect. By focusing on these fundamental aspects of friendship, individuals with social anxiety can build relationships that are meaningful and fulfilling, without the pressure to be someone they're not. An example mentioned is of someone who is hesitant to reach out to a new acquaintance because they fear they won't be interesting enough to sustain a friendship. However, when they decide to invite this person to a casual coffee meetup, they focus on being a good listener and showing genuine interest in the other person's life. This simple act of kindness and attention helps lay the foundation for a new friendship, and they realize that they don't need to be exceptionally witty or charming to form a meaningful connection. Over time, this friendship grows stronger, built on mutual respect and trust rather than superficial qualities, helping the individual see that they are capable of building beautiful friendships by simply being themselves. Conclusion. In conclusion, How to Be Yourself by Ellen Hendriksen offers a compassionate and practical guide for overcoming social anxiety and embracing your true self. Through a blend of psychological insights, personal anecdotes, and actionable strategies, the book empowers readers to break free from the fears and insecurities that hold them back. Hendriksen encourages you to challenge negative thoughts, gradually step out of your comfort zone, and build genuine self-confidence. The ultimate message is that you don't need to change who you are to fit in or be accepted. Instead, you can thrive by being your authentic self. By following the advice in this book, you can learn to navigate social situations with ease, connect more deeply with others, and live a life that reflects your true identity. Thank you for listening to the summary of the book, How to Be Yourself. For more such book summaries, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe.